Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today, we are thrilled to be joined by one-time AAFCA Best Supporting Actress, Divine Joy Randolph, who we're talking to this time for her remarkable role in the film The Holdovers. I'm going to introduce you to the members who are on the call today, starting with Reggie Pounder in Chicago, Al McGee in South Florida, Brandon Collins in New York, New York, Karan Noir Kelly in Charlottesville, Virginia, Mercedes Williams in Pittsburgh, Ruben Regald in South Florida, and Samuel Leggett in Washington, D.C. I'm going to let you guys do what you do so well, and we'll see you on the other side.
You just earned yourself a detention, sir.
Being here with you is already one big detention.
Son of a bitch, that's another detention.
Do you think I want to be babysitting you? No, I was praying your mother would pick up the phone or your father would arrive in a helicopter or a flying saucer.
My father's
to take you
dead.
You don't tell a boy that's been left behind at Christmas that nobody wants him? What's wrong with you?
There's nobody here, okay? You stay out of my way, and I'll stay out of yours.
Let me sleep.
Now, most of the kids dislike you, pretty much hate you. Teachers, too. You know that, right?
I find the world a bitter and complicated place, and it seems to feel the same way about me. I think you and I have this in common.
I don't think I've ever had a real family Christmas like this before. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
History is not simply the study of the past, it is an explanation of the present.
See, when you say it that way and throw in some pornography, it's a lot easier to understand.
No matter what you are.
I'd like to propose a toast to my two unlikely companions.
Are you trying to lick down my shirt?
No. Yes. You're gonna get me fired.
This is your Rubicon.
Do not cross
The Rubicon.
The Holdovers.
Hello, Brandon Collins, Media and Popcorn Podcast. You've been on an incredible role in your career the past few years between Dolomite Is My Name, High Fidelity, The Idol, Only Murders in the Building. What was it about The Holdovers that drew you in, and what are you hoping audiences will take away from your incredibly powerful performance?
First of all, thank you very much. I think the biggest thing that drew me in, to be quite frank with you all, especially with this given audience, it was a fully dimensional Black female role in which she came to the table with all the stuff already there. And normally when you have to negotiate, beg, plead, with the powers that be to add more to your character, to give substance, to give, background, humanity, history to your character, what floored me and excited me so much is that it was already there. So that was huge for me, that I was like, oh, okay, well, we're already off to a very strong start. I love this idea that she fully felt her feelings. You have to keep in mind that this movie takes place during 1969, over then inadvertently 1970, being that it's the New Year's during the holiday. And during this time, just months prior, MLK is assassinated, JFK is then assassinated, and then we're getting hit with the Vietnam War. It's probably one of, historically, the most darkest, dimmest times of our nation. And so to be a Black woman during this time, I found fascinating, and that she is this outsider in this, in the pearly white gates, you know what I mean? Observing culture, but absolved from it. And very much so, it was important for me. And what I loved is that she is still of the world, though due to their privilege, it is ignored in many senses for them. And I asked them, I was like, well, why are we not, why am I not hearing, to be honest with you, racial slurs, certain type of things? Why are they not coming at me? And it's something I thought was fascinating that the director said. He said, within these pearly gates, they're not even thinking about you like that, because they're not even thinking about you. And I think that's what makes this so powerful because in this, we all experience some version of this, right? Due to unforeseen circumstances where blessings, healing, monumental change occurs in the most unexpected of places. And something about that I loved, and I love this idea of three broken people able to come together and somehow become more whole. And so I just thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was really beautiful, but ultimately that the foundation of this character was there. And so it was very exciting to me that I was like, oh, we could really do some damage now, because where our baseline is, we're already off to a really good start.
Fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Reggie Ponder out of Chicago, and you just mentioned that they're not thinking about you. When I was in college, and I know this is not college, the food service workers were the glue that held the world together. And so it seems like your character does that in so many respects. Can you speak to that?
Sure. So interesting. When they first told me about it, they said that she was the cafeteria worker. And I said, oh, no, no, no. No, she's not. She runs the culinary department at this Ivy League institution. And I've been like that for a long time. I've learned that from the likes of, Felicia Rashad, Ella Joyce, where they were like, whatever the job is, you put respect on that woman's name and that she has integrity in what she's doing. And I've played a myriad of roles. I've been played a prison inmate. However, there's always a level of dignity and respect on it. So interestingly enough, that was a thing in which I had to do a lot of back and forth, but I applaud my director, Alexander Payne, because he was very open to the conversation where I said, listen, this lady is very good at her job. I love to cook. I'm a pretty good cook. And so I was like, listen, I will be cooking. I will be chopping, because I needed people to see she's not just throwing stuff together. This is a job she likes in regards to her skill set. You see what I'm saying? The situation and work environment, not into that, but she's good at her job. This isn't just, a begrudging cafeteria that just slops, mess on your... No, she takes pride on it. Also, during the pandemic, I was in New Orleans. And so I'm sure all of y'all are quite familiar with New Orleans, but there is an infamous female chef by the name of Doki Chase, who has fed dignitaries, presidents, the likes. This woman, unfortunately, has recently passed. But something about her that I thought was so amazing is that she literally ran her restaurant, whether it was selling, low country, Southern food, soul food or not, she ran it like a Michelin star restaurant. And she had a crisp white uniform, chef's outfit, European style, that she wore. And she did it with such dignity. And I told them, I said, my work outfit needs to be crisp whites, because they wanted me to be in an apron. I said, my work outfit needs to be a uniform that she chooses to put on and she wears with pride. You see what I'm saying? So in regards to what her job was, it was imperative that I was like, I need to be cooking things. I need to be chopping things. I need to be hands-on, because it's important for me to show this lady not only earned this job, but is very good at this job, and they would be very messed up without her and rely on her and her skill as opposed to the service she provides, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And since you used some cooking terms, you cooked that and you did chop that up. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. My name is Mercedes Williams. I'm owner and chief film critic for Movie Scene Queen. I just wanted to ask you, The Holdovers has some overarching themes of a subtitle, discomfort and joy. And preparing for this role and the execution of it, can you let us know at least one discomfort and one joyful moment you had in preparing and executing this role?
Sure. I think the discomfort, to be completely honest with you, to just get right to it, was sitting with my thoughts, sitting with myself. And, half of the movie for me is a silent one. So in many senses, it felt like I was a regular, movie actress, but then almost a silent screen actress because I have a significant portion of screen time where I'm not even talking. So it required me to get in touch with myself and check in with myself. And so I'll just share this. As y'all, I'm assume know, within our culture, in order for the child in their family to get a good education, unless you are born into it, especially within the Black family, sacrifices need to be made. And they will come together as a family unit, or it might be the single mother, whomever, but the family will come behind the child and pour everything into making sure they go what they need to go, right? So I had the great fortune of that happening. My mom is an educator, and so she was not playing around when it came to school. Like this character, my mother made many sacrifices, working overtime and all the like, so that I could go to private schools all throughout my career and then end up going to Yale at Ivy League. And with that, and me being in those schools, in particular when I was at Yale School of Drama of graduate school, I dealt with a lot of loss. For whatever reason, when I was in graduate school, a lot of family members passed. And due to me being in school, my family members, my mother would tell me, no, you stay there and you do what you need to do. So there's a lot of deaths, funerals that I have missed, that haven't fully processed and grieved. And I didn't know that. I thought I did. And when we began to do this project, I quickly found out that I didn't. So that was something, discomfort, and also it was healing. Does that make sense? So it came upon me in a way where I was like, wow, we haven't dealt with this. But it was hard because I didn't have no scene partner. You know what I mean? I was in a space and I had to fill that space. And so I had to get really comfortable within my skin, and in my inner thoughts, and be brave enough to show that and allow you guys as the viewers in to my personal, trauma and pain. And then in regards to Joy, the whole project truly was a joy to work with a very actor-friendly and actor-supporting director who made sure we had everything we need and then some. For me to be able to work with, in particular, two renowned hair and makeup artists in creating this character, but on top of it, that I felt like as a cherry on top, that they were two not only people that specialize in Black skin and Black hair, but also were Black professionals. And it was great pride for me that I had them there on set in support of me, because there were times being in Boston where I needed to have that kind of support, if you catch my drift. And also to just have an amazing scene partners. Paul Giamatti is phenomenal. And, I didn't know what to expect. And he was just so giving and kind that it was a dream come true. I really felt supported. And now I'm spoiled, but that it's something now that I want to set, as a precedent for myself, where I'm like, okay, now this is the new, the new normal. And I only want stuff coming in at this level, in regards to professionalism and quality. So it's exciting. It's very exciting for me to have experienced that, and for people to now see it, and a joy of, I do this because I want to give back, and I believe this is part of my ministry as well as part of my way of purpose. So I believe we all have many gifts, and our gifts are meant to help people, whether that is to give them some kind of emotional release, to laugh, to love, to question, to think, to learn, to heal. And so this is part of my ministry, being here on this earth. And so it gives me great joy to have the opportunity to play a character like this, and that people are connecting to it and being impacted by it, and are feeling things and questioning things about themselves, or rekindling with people who may haven't. It means a lot to me. So I would say those would be my discomforts and my joy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, hello, Divine Joy. My name is Al McGee, and I'm with Your Entertainment Ticket here in Boca Raton, Florida. My question to you is this. You're working with Alexander Payne, and I have this picture in the background of you. And when you was working with him, did he help you with your emotional status for this role in this wonderful film? And this film really got to me because I was in high school in 69 and 70. And I felt all of that. And I'm from Chicago originally, and I felt that cold weather. But your emotional status in this film, wow. Did he help you with that? And like I said, I got this picture here where you're smoking a cigarette, and I remember this scene. Did he help you with that at all?
Of course, yeah, he was supportive of me throughout the whole thing. I think the biggest thing that we were the biggest consistent thing that we were constantly checking in with was the tone, right? Because if you know off back that this woman is grieving, the trap you can fall into is that it's just one note. She's just sad. She's just mean. She's just, you know what I mean? Just one thing. So it was constantly turning the dial, scene to scene, line by line, moment to moment of how is, because the reality is that I found out about grief is, you know, yes, we have that like convenient chart of like the stages of grief. But what I found out in reality, you don't necessarily follow that sequential order. And sometimes two things are happening at the same, you know what I mean? You could be in denial and you could be in anger at the same time.
Right.
And what I noticed too is sometimes in grief, you're a little dark, like the humor's a little odd. And so it was about showing, I wanted to show my goal. I told him, I said, listen, I want to show all of the stages of grief from start to finish in this movie so that when people do watch this movie, if they are going through something in their lives, at some point in this movie, they can feel connected and attached to her. That it's not like, oh, well, this movie only deals with stage 1 of grief and I'm at stage 6. So it was important to me because I feel like this woman is, many people, not just Black people, are the mothers, the aunties, that neighbor that held, you know what I mean, held you down. I wanted to make this woman be as universal and as approachable and relatable as possible. So yes, that was like a little tightrope that we were constantly, you know, making sure, because of what I was afraid of, or not afraid of, but what I was constantly trying to monitor is that I did not want her to be too much or too little of anything, because I knew that if I did do that, I would lose you as the viewer, that you either would disconnect because it felt too over the top, or you would be dissatisfied because you feel like I didn't really dig in. So I was constantly trying to check the dial, so to speak, the emotional dial of what could be the sweet spot of what the moment lended itself to be.
Wow, thank you very much. And I enjoy most all your work, especially in the original OG. I miss that show.
Thank you so much.
Hi, DJ Chris Dowles out of Cleveland, Ohio, and I appreciate the time, you took your time for us. I read a quote and you said, this movie is an imperfect, perfect holiday movie. Can you expound on that?
Sure. My reasoning for saying that is that when you think about holiday movies, a lot of them follow the same kind of pattern and trope and narrative, right? Where we know what it is. It's either dad who works a whole bunch and I really need you to get me that toy, and will you make it enough time to get me that toy? Or, you know, and so what I love about this is outside of It's a Wonderful Life, we really don't have a more realistic view of the other side of how holidays can be. And what I love is that I hope for this to be a movie for people to watch, for people who aren't necessarily feeling the Christmas spirit, or who aren't, you know what I mean, or feeling the pressures of life. Because that's the thing, the reason why holidays are like that, I think, is because it's the end of the year. So we're doing checks and balances of what we did and did not do, and you know what I mean, did and did not complete, or where our finances are, and stuff like that, and or historically, for whatever reason, the most deaths occur in January. So for a lot of people, then you got people who are grieving or having that first. No one ever forgets that first holiday after that person has passed. And so imagine, I thought when I was reading the script, I was like, what if this could be something for that viewer who doesn't want to sit and watch, you know what I mean? Jingle All the Way or This Christmas, even though I love that movie, you know what I mean? That's why, as another example, Best Man Holiday, only because what happens to Homegirl. So it's like we don't normally have stuff like that. Everything conveniently, pun intended, ties into a pretty bow. So it's just like, I love the fact that this had a more realistic and honest approach to what probably a majority of people are thinking and dealing with during the holidays.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you and great job on the film.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Divine Joy. This is Karan from Karanism.com and Love Music Pleasure. And thank you for your name, number one.
Thank you so much.
I want to ask you, what did it feel like as an actor to embody a character who is also a Black woman and a servant, who is again in a role, who is serving other people's, but you had a really beautiful and unique ability to not make that a trope,
right?
And I'm rarely at a loss for words, but I really am at a loss for words because your performance was brilliant. What I want to say is you were able to turn the Black woman who was a maid, who changed everybody's life around her, without her life necessarily changing at the same pace. What did it feel like for you as an actor to be able to do that? And we know that grief is not linear, but you were experiencing your grief while you were carrying the grief of so many other people in this film. What did that feel like for you as an actor?
First thing, I think this is one of the things that sets me apart and makes me unique in my gift, and that is that I will never play a stereotype. I will always be a Black woman, but I will never play a stereotype. I literally did Empire and was an inmate, and still, I will never play a stereotype. And something I said earlier when I read it and when they first said, and in some articles, it says, she's a cafeteria lady. But what I made clear to them is she is a chef. She is a highly skilled cook who has a gift and is getting paid to do so. I don't know if you can catch it in the film, but I run the department of food. It's not I'm one of the gals.
Oh, we felt that. We felt that.
And did you also see that most of the employees are white?
Ma'am.
It's the details, right?
The details.
So little things like that. Or how I get with Homegirl and I say she put too much paprika and nobody told you to put all that paprika and do it all over again. That was necessary for me to show, right? And big and small ways, this lady knows what she's doing. She's not the cook and just, there's a passion for what she does and she loves doing. She has a gift and she's getting paid for it. So much so that she was this close to be able to put her child up for college completely on her own, single parent income, right? So sis is getting paid, right? And so for me, it's a choice. it's a choice, and it's things that you have to sometimes defend, sometimes merely explain. Little markers, right? When reading the script where I'm like, oh, okay, this could very easily go this way. I am going to have a conversation with the powers that be to curtail it this way, right? So, for example, they really wanted her in rollers, her hair in rollers. And I said, this is the thing though. I'm working. You will never, yeah, but it's the holidays and she's off of. If there is staff in the place, I am working. There's no rollers. So that's why you see, the only time you see me in rollers is when I'm in the privacy of my room preparing to go to the Christmas party. Right? So that was a situation where there's a negotiation. And I will say, to their credit, meaning the director, he was down with it. Meaning I had to explain it. You know what I mean? He didn't quite, but then here we go. This is another reason why. And listen, it's important to have people that know how to do your hair and makeup, no matter what their color of skin is. But being that I had 2 African Americans doing my hair and makeup, when the conversation came about, well, we really want her hair to be in rollers. Imagine the support I was able to have because I have a Black woman who is doing my Black hair and can say to him and co-sign with me, oh, yes, sir. We wouldn't do that. We can give you that moment because I get it. He wanted to have this like softened, great. We understood the reason why he wanted it. And we said, great. So we can give you that another moment where that's going to make sense. Or how she dressed, how I said, listen, she always, even if she is in a, because they wanted originally pajamas. And I was like, no, my grandma never was walking around in pajamas, especially not during that era. I was like, she had like little nightgown sets that even if men were in the house, it was appropriate, you know what I mean, to be seen in them. And we had such a wonderful costume designer who was so on board with me. And she was like, okay, we're going to find them. And I would send her, I'm very visual and I love fashion. So I would send her images. I pull images of references from the Jeffersons. I don't know if you catch it, but when she's working, that little bun she has with the little tendrils that come down, that's from Wheezy. That's a direct rip from Wheezy, first season of the Jeffersons. Because see, in the first seasons, as a theme song goes, moving on up, Wheezy hadn't yet accepted her new wealth. So she was still dressing in the blue collar, lower middle class mentality and looking that way as such. So she had this cute little bun. So I was like, great, that's what I want to have for that. I don't know if y'all know this, but in all of my projects, as an homage and a love letter to the women before me, I always, almost as a subliminal message, insert some kind of shout out to Black women in history, whether it's my own family, singers, other artists. So she's in there. My little flip up with so remember when I had the little regular flip? I think it's when I go to my sister's house. That's from Maxine, Lenny Kravitz's mom in the Jeffersons. When I go to the party and I have my little flip up, but then I have the top bun with a chignon, that's Phyllis Hyman, Philadelphia, all day. There's a cover album where she has a orange off the shoulder caftan and she has this flip and it just goes, let me see if I can find it because you can see the camera. I'm gonna find it for you. But I'll have albums of this stuff and we'll just pull up different references. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I mean, since we're on here. Okay, so for example, can you see that says Mary Lamb Inspo? And it's just pictures of Black women. And here, there you go. Wait, where is she? Direct rip. Can you see it? It's kind of reflecting bad. But that's
I remember that album cover.
Just me.
Yeah, I have that
That
album.
album.
Yep. Here's Wheezy.
My goodness.
I do this in every one of my projects. Every single one. And no one knows it. I mean, it's my process. Y'all now know it, but like, it's something that I do because it's important that, and in answering your question of how we stay away from these tropes.
Here's the thing, Divine Joy. Here's the thing I want to say to you. I want to thank you, first of all, for being who you are, for your name, because it's everything. But it's in the quiet moments of your performance that are most profound. And I also want to let you know that your homage to our ancestors, our sister friends who have gone before us, is really a beautiful thing. And I want to thank you because I felt that connection through your performance. I felt that connection through your performance. And I want you to know that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's important. It's important because this is how they live on. My grandmother I was really into Mary's hands. Sounds weird. I was really into her hands because that's something I remember about my grandmother, her hands. And the size of the nails and the shape of the nails. And how I knew with me chopping, you see, this is Davine, right? So it was very important to me that, because this is the thing, right? All those details do what for me? Allow me to stay in the character, to stay grounded, and constantly reminding myself what I'm working towards and for, and who got me to be in this position. You feel me? So the hands, the shape of the nails, and you know what I mean? The fact of it being like a see-through polish, the glasses, those are my grandmother's glasses with the little chain. She didn't, it wasn't her glasses, but what I did is I showed production props. These are my grandmother's glasses. Can you find a replica? And they did. But that was also too, being a part of a project. Let me just say, head to toe, top to bottom, crew and all, they showed out. Sometimes you'll be in a production and a gaffer's like, let's come on. You know what I mean? It's a 9 to 5 for them. And I understand it, and that's cool. Or how the costume designer would send me pictures and show up to set with swatches of vintage fabric. And I was like, I'm only going to know it by the feel, because I kept thinking of my aunties, my grandmothers, I know that feel. That's why those dress gowns, that purple one in particular, how it's fuzzy and ribbed, I wanted everybody, but especially Black people, to see that outfit and be like, I know what that is. Because it was important for me to touch people here, so that we could open up a place where then we can relate. And now we're communing, right? And now we're really talking, because my job is to reach y'all through that screen and in your seat and where you're at. And so I think of these details in hopes that gets conveyed.
Well, you did that. And I want to thank you for the beauty and the expansion of this work. You absolutely did that. And you understood the assignment. And I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, how you doing, Davine?
Hi, how are you, Samuel?
I'm doing good. I'm Samuel with JVS Media Production. You were amazing in this film. Like every single scene, every small little thing that you did or didn't do, it's the quiet moments that really hit me with this. The thing about Mary for me, I felt like she was a very strong, but yet caring and loving soul. Like that's just inherent. Like to me, she kind of embodied like the ultimate maternal figure.
Yes.
The only thing is she lost her world. She lost her world.
Right.
And so she still is kind of progressing and doing things, and she's meeting with these two men and trying to help them out. And then she kind of has a moment of joy for a second. And then at the Christmas party, it all came tumbling in, inward and outward. Can you break down the emotions and the motivations, talking with the director, how you guys want to unpack that scene? It's one of the most powerful scenes in the whole film, but you put out so much raw emotion, but at the same time, you understand every reason why she's doing what she's doing. So I just wanted you to kind of break that down if you can.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's like, you know, it's the maternal figures in our lives. You know, we women, we're different. We could have the whole weight of the world on our back, and we will go to work with a smile on our face, and we will help that person. Oh, baby, and what do you need? Oh, okay, let me take the, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Off my back to her. And that's what I wanted to show, right? That in the midst of this, the depths of this woman's grief, that's why I think that scene is so powerful, because it's a reminder of, don't get it twisted. This is actually where this lady has been living the entire movie. But she's been hopeless. But she's been
like I thought about the copy for the part.
You know what I'm saying? That she's, and that was something I loved about the movie. That this was a Black woman that was allowed to take up space. I mean, the whole school know about the you know what I mean, the boy passing. They have a little like funeral, you know, memorial thing for him. She feels so uncomfortable, but she like, look, you know, I don't need all that attention.
I mean, at the end,
right.
Time,
yeah,
allows her to be able to have a deeper understanding of the place she truly was in. And that's what I love that the writer did. Mary never apologizes for how she feels. That's huge. For a woman at that time, in that environment, she never apologized for how she feels and who she is. And what I find is beautiful, those scenes where she and Paul are talking on the couch, something struck a chord with me. One of my favorite movies is Karina. And it reminded me of how their relationship, right? Two unseemly people, two people that you would never think would come together in any way, romantic or not. And how through grief, because grief will knock you on your butt. And grief will, you know, you think you are up here, it will quickly snatch you right back down. It's the grand equalizer. And through that, in both of these movies, that's how these two people are able to come together, right? So that was something I found very beautiful. In regards to that scene, I was so supported and cared for by my cast and by my crew. We did only 2 takes of that. We did 1 take where I really went there. I'm talking about on the floor. And, you know, Alexander was like, you know, whew, okay. They felt uncomfortable. I'm gonna be really honest. They felt uncomfortable. They were uncomfortable. People don't know how much we hold in here, especially as Black people, right? And I thought about it. I was like, Davion, are we really about to let these people have it? And I said, you know what? Yes. Because everybody else do it. Yes. So we did it. And for a long time, I thought that was the best take. And now seeing it, which was take 2, I see that actually in the restraint, you see even more adequately the depth of her pain and her emotion. I think if y'all would have saw the other version, y'all would have got it. I think if some other people would have saw it, it would have been like, whoa, they would have cut off. It would have made them uncomfortable. It would have been too much. And so I'm thankful. I'm truly thankful that the director had the wisdom and discernment to know in that editing room, it's this take. Because I was adamant about it, you know, and I was wrong. I was wrong. And I will 100% admit that. And it wasn't that difficult because we all deal with a lot of stuff. It is hard to be out here in this world in the day-to-day. It's very hard. It's a lot on our back. If anything, it was just having the courage to show it. But early on, about 2 weeks in, I realized that I was like, Devon, you really could have an opportunity to give back to people and help people, and allow people to see themselves in the humanity of this woman, no matter what color skin they are, right? And so that was what train I was on. And at that point, we had filmed that almost like we were almost a third done. We did that later. So I was already deep into her at that point. So I just saw that as like, this comes with the territory. You know what I mean? This is what we're going to have to do. So yeah, that was pretty much how that came about. But I'll say too, with doing all this sad stuff, I was a fool on set, joking, laughing, giggling, because I had to, right? You can't be sitting there listening to sad music and just crying in the corner all day long. A, who wants to be around that? Nobody. And B, you're giving away your performance to what? The wall in the hair and makeup trailer. So I was like, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to come from a place of joy and be silly and giggly so that then when the time comes, I have a reservoir left to now, you know what I'm saying? Pour into that moment. And then too, I listen to certain music. I come from theater. So for me, the putting on of the character in the hair and makeup trailer was a part of my process of like shifting into her, because you have to keep in mind, we were filming where we were staying. You see what I'm saying? I wasn't living on set, but we were staying within the neighborhood. It was desolate. It wasn't much stuff going on around there. So I needed to have a departure to get back to oneself. I couldn't stay in that space of grief. So when we were done, I'm calling family members, touching base. I'm cooking. I'm watching Martin after we wrap so I can laugh. You know what I mean? So I can laugh, and because that's too much. You know what I mean? And then when it's time to go to work, I'm listening to Mahalia and Etta James and Ella and Sarah Vaughan to get into that space. But yeah, that was basically how I navigated the heavier stuff.
Yeah, you gave one of the most naturally raw performances this year. So thank you so much, Devon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Hi, Divine. My name is Ruben Peralta from Cocalecas.net. How are you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Look, one of the things that I enjoy watching the movie, it's your relationship with Paul Giamatti characters. And I feel that you complement him you both complemented in a transformation journey, because he's this antisocial person, but you are super social, but you're going to agree. And there's so many sequences when you're watching TV that you're talking about what the show that you're watching, then at the party, like so many things that just borderline between being funny and being sad. How do you balance this performance with your crew? Because the fine line between being funny and being dramatic, it's so perfectly made that it's almost a masterpiece.
Thank you. That's life. That's life. I've been in many situations. I've sat in many sister girl chats in my grandmother's kitchen. And they be cracking up laughing, and then they talk about something, you be like, whoa, and they come right back out of it with a joke. And so again, this was where I felt as though I had to bring forth this lady's humanity, in this sense of, again, she gotta survive. Because trust me too, she have her moments of boohoo and crying, but she do it when she back in her room. You see what I'm saying? She knows she's at work, she's on. She's on. And in a way that's good, because she's choosing to, fight the impending depression by staying busy of working and doing all those things. Paul is such a giving actor. So it was very easy to work off of him. He gave me so much. And yeah, again, in regards to those scenes, it really made me think of Karina, truly, and how this beautiful back and forth and tete-a-tete that they have and this banter. But you got to keep in mind too, these are all others All of them. They're all outsiders. Dominic's character, Angus, as a student, his character as a professor, and me as another employee, non-faculty employee at this institution. So outside of the child, nobody talks to us. Nobody talks to Paul. Nobody's messing with Paul. Who's talking to me? No one, right? So you take people who are often ignored, seem invisible, shunned, and they get this beautiful opportunity due to this unforeseen circumstance on this seemingly neutral ground, because all of the variables and the dynamics are removed, and they're able to just have a conversation. It's like, what is that card game now that's out where it's encouraging people to have conversations? They have like the couples version and the friends version, the kids version. It's almost like they were playing that version of that. You know what I mean? Asking questions about things that is, people don't ask about. And I think the idea of just inquiring opens up so much.
And I think the name of the movie is perfect because you all are holdovers, and it just match with each of you. And then at the end, what I love about your character with that relationship with Paul Giamatti's character is at the end, it's just the eyes. You just look at yourself and you know that you, at the end of that period of time, you get to know each other. Even though nobody wants to be with him.
Yeah, and what it is too is you're watching the progression of people feeling safe with one another. You know what I mean? And so in them feeling safe, it creates a breeding ground for interesting things to come about and trust. So people's hearts are opening up.
I agree. Thank you so much for your time and congratulations. Outstanding job.
Divine, divine, divine. You are literally a joy. We cannot get enough of you, girl. We appreciate you and will continue to support and uplift you in whatever you're doing. On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film and TV critics, happy holidays, and thank you for participating in this edition of AAFCA Roundtables.